Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says a deal to return hostages held in the Gaza Strip has been reached. The announcement came a day after Netanyahu's office said there were last-minute snags in talks to free hostages in return for a ceasefire in Gaza and the release of Palestinian prisoners. Netanyahu said he will convene his security cabinet Friday and then the government to approve the ceasefire agreement. Despite the delay, senior U.S. officials remain optimistic. Secretary of State Antony Blinken expressed confidence that the ceasefire would still go into effect on Sunday as initially planned. A Pakistani court on Friday convicted former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan and his wife Bushra Bibi in a landmark graft case, sentencing Khan to 14 years in prison. Now, Khan has been held in custody since August 2023, charged with around 200 cases, but his party claims the latest conviction was being used to pressure him into silence. The anti-graft court convened in the jail near the capital Islamabad, where Khan is being held, and convicted him along with his wife over a welfare foundation they established together called the Al-Qadir Trust. Khan has been fined 1 million Pakistani rupees or $3,500 US, while Bushra Bibi was fined half that amount. South Korean investigators plan to request a court extension for President Yoon Suk-yeol's detention as his current arrest term ends Friday. Yoon, the first sitting South Korean president to be arrested, is being held at the Seoul Detention Center amid a probe into whether he committed insurrection by imposing martial law last December or not. Authorities from the anti-corruption agency aim to secure a detention warrant for up to 20 additional days. Earlier in the week, a Seoul court rejected Yoon's challenge against his arrest. The World Bank has estimated that the Indian economy will grow at 6.5% this year, compared to 6.6% projected earlier, and will see a mild pickup in pace to 6.7% in next year, remaining the world's fastest growing major economy. Global growth is projected at 2.7% for 2025 and 26. This, while growth in India is expected to decelerate from 8.2% last year. Services and farm sector expansion have been steady, with rural demand holding up. The global economic prospects have put the spotlight on developing countries, which are expected to close the first quarter of the current century with the weakest long-term growth outlook since 2000. According to a Reuters report, 7 Indian private companies have been selected for a first-of-its-kind Indo-US space and defense collaboration program. Firms like Kaleido, Etherealex, and Adya Space will work with US agencies, including the Defense Innovation Unit, to develop satellite observation and advanced defense technologies. Now, this partnership grants Indian firms access to the $1.5 billion US defense market annually, a major boost for India's private space sector and bilateral ties. Meanwhile, China sent a Pakistani satellite into space on Friday from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in northwest China. The satellite, named PRSCEO-1, was launched at 12:07 p.m. Beijing time by a Long March 2D carrier rocket and entered its planned orbit successfully. The rocket also carried 2 other satellites, namely Tianlu-1 and the Lantern-1. This launch marked the 556th flight mission involving the Long March carrier rocket series. The U.S. is set to launch an updated H-1B visa program today. The new rules announced by the Department of Homeland Security aim to boost fairness, transparency, and efficiency in hiring global talent. They also address growing concerns about fraud from employers and employees. According to reports, U.S. President Joe Biden won't enforce a ban on the social media app TikTok that is set to take effect a day before he leaves office on Monday, leaving its fate in the hands of President-elect Donald Trump. The officials said the outgoing administration was leaving the implementation of the law and the potential enforcement of the ban to Trump. Russia claimed on Thursday that its forces targeted several Ukrainian military airports and key infrastructure over the past 24 hours, while Ukraine reported attacking a Russian fuel depot, triggering a large fire. The Russian Defense Ministry said in a briefing on Thursday that its forces had struck multiple Ukrainian military airports, drone production facilities, and storage warehouses in the past day. Meanwhile, on the same day, the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported 89 combat encounters on the front lines as of Thursday afternoon. It said that Ukrainian forces had successfully repelled 8 Russian offensives in the Kirkuk region. Just days before President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration as the US president, Russia and Iran are set to sign a landmark strategic partnership pact in Moscow, a move that will further solidify the growing alliance between two of the West's key adversaries. This deal marks a significant deepening of ties that have strengthened dramatically since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, and it's fueling concerns that the West's long-held fears about this alliance are now becoming a reality. Top UN officials, including aid chief Tom Fletcher, met Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kiev on Thursday to discuss strengthening of humanitarian support for Ukraine. Now, this comes as the UN launches a humanitarian appeal for $3.32 billion to support more than 8 million people affected by the war with Russia. Take a listen.
It's a sign of our solidarity as the whole UN family. And I really want to start there. We've been with you throughout this war, and we're here to demonstrate that solidarity. Actually, in the end, our announcement today, our target is 3.3 billion altogether, because we have 2 campaigns. 2.6, so in combination it will be 3.3.
In a bold show of solidarity, UK PM Keir Starmer has vowed to put Ukraine in the strongest possible position. Now, this follows his visit to Kiev, where he signed a historic 100-year agreement with the war-torn nation. The Labour leader's trip, however, was underscored by the stark realities of the ongoing war, as loud blasts and air raid sirens interrupted proceedings after a reported Russian drone attack was intercepted by Ukraine's defense systems. Starmer's visit underscores his commitment to bolstering Ukraine's fight for sovereignty and independence, marking a significant step in international support as the war with Russia rages on.
I completely agree, and it's so important that we must and we will stand with Ukraine for as long as is possible. That's why I'm here.
The UK government has announced a rapid national review of the extent of sexual exploitation of children by Pakistani grooming gangs and several new local inquiries into cases of abuse. The issue was at the center of a political firestorm earlier this month when a war of words broke out between US tech billionaire Elon Musk and Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The row relates to sex offences going back decades against British girls and Hindu girls and Sikh girls, in fact, by men of mostly South Asian, to be very precise, Pakistani origin in various North English towns. On to Canada now. Mark Carney, the globally influential central banker and staunch advocate for green investment, has officially launched his campaign to lead Canada's Liberal Party and become the country's next Prime Minister, in fact. Now, the 59-year-old former Bank of England governor and Bank of Canada head made the announcement on Thursday in Alberta, positioning himself as the leader Canada needs in times of profound change. "I'm here to ask for your support," Carney declared, emphasizing his commitment to earning the trust of the Canadian people. He also acknowledged the country is facing significant challenges, however, expressed confidence in his ability to tackle them head-on.
"I'm here to ask for your support. I'm here to earn your trust, to lead that fight. I'm back home in Edmonton to declare my candidacy for leader of the Liberal Party and Prime Minister of Canada."
French President Emmanuel Macron arrived in Beirut on Friday morning. He was received at the airport by Lebanese caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati and other dignitaries. Macron will meet the newly elected Lebanese President Joseph Aoun and other officials during the visit. It comes as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Friday a deal to return hostages held in the Gaza Strip has been reached. After his office said, in fact, earlier, there were last-minute snags in finalizing a ceasefire that would pause 15 months of ongoing war. Meanwhile, Lebanon's parliament voted to elect Army Commander Joseph Aoun as the head of the state a week earlier, filling a more than 2-year-long presidential vacuum in the country. A stick-wielding man has killed 2 people and injured 2 others in Miami in what the law enforcement officials call, and I quote, an unprovoked attack on 4 homeless people. The suspect was taken into custody following the beatings, which police say were carried out early Thursday. A 911 call placed just after 6 a.m. Thursday local time alerted officials to what they say was a 30-year-old man armed with a stick beating people living on the streets of Miami. Officials have not yet released the suspect's name while they continue investigating, saying he has no local criminal history but has had some minor run-ins with the police in New York. Take a listen, Miami PD Chief Manny Morales on the incident.
It's a horrible incident. The officers on the scene and the Miami Police Department is appalled at this display of unprovoked violence. And we will make sure that our investigators pay close attention so we can hold this individual accountable to the fullest extent of the law.